everyone. Welcome to the Mentor Movement Podcast, the show that explores the impact of mentorship in various industries. I'm Kylie Montigney, and in today's episode, we will discuss mentorship in college, women in media, and more with Emma North. We'll discuss the ins and outs of being a woman in media and offer listeners insight of what it is like. Be sure to listen all the way through for the details that what we will talk about. So thank you so much, Emma, for joining us on the Mentor Movement podcast today. We are very excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
So to kick things off, like tell us more about you and your work if people are kind of not familiar.
Totally. So I'm a recent grad. I just finished getting my bachelor's in advertising from the University of Georgia. I was able to do a lot within media and with a club called Women in Media while I was there. And now I'm looking for work in an entry-level role at an ad agency this summer.
Awesome. Like, did you found the club for women in media or did someone else found it when you were at University of Georgia?
Somebody else founded it. There was a great group of girls that were getting it started back in about 2018. And so I joined my freshman year, 2020, and then stayed involved, eventually became an ambassador, then became head of general body events. And then eventually last year I served as president, which was a really cool learning experience to do all of that.
That's really awesome. Like, what was it like for you to be president? I know every president in different colleges, especially college towns, are very different. But what was it like for you, especially at Georgia?
Um, I think it was a really great opportunity to like learn about leadership and how to work with a lot of different types of people. I was really lucky to have like a wonderful e-board behind me to make everything happen. And a really great vice president who I'd worked with on the events team beforehand, Lanier. I love her so much. Um, and speaking about mentorship, we had an advisor, Samantha, and she really helped guide me through the process of how to be a leader and how to um, work with a variety of different types of people, and also a lot of financial management. That was a learning curve that was fun and unique.
I know with being a president woman in especially women in media or any club in general, it really teaches you so much about, like leadership, communication skills, and so much more. So, like it teaches you probably more than a job could teach you, probably.
Yeah, half the time I get like, I have it on my resume and on my LinkedIn, and half the time I'll get LinkedIn ads that are like, Emma, you're the president of this group. And it's like, no, it's actually a club. It's not a job or a company. But it's very funny to see those ads come across my feed.
Yeah, honestly, like I get those on all the time on LinkedIn. Like sometimes people are like, "Oh, this is a job," and I'm like, no, that's a podcast. Like, I know with a lot, especially with LinkedIn ads, it usually with the scams that come across on social media, it really thinks like, oh, this is an actual job. This is actually a club, not an actual job. Like, this is volunteer
Mhm.
work rather than actually getting paid for it.
Yeah, but it's definitely worthwhile experience. I think you get to learn and do so much more. So I definitely recommend like sharing it, putting it out there, talking about the work that you've done in volunteering in clubs.
It's so important because, of course, it's very good for the resume if you are maybe a president of a club, but also to talk about it because, of course, their experiences can help, of course, so many others. But for, like, of course, your future, maybe job opportunities or whatever, it's like those could opportunities, whether in high school or college, could mean so much after you graduate high school or college with job opportunities or trying to get into a college that you always wanted to get into is always, so important for all those things that you're getting involved in.
Yeah, totally. And that's one of the things I've loved about my college experience in Grady specifically, which is the journalism school at UGA. There's so many opportunities to get involved in so many different ways. I think that's like one of the standout things about the college.
Yeah, and I know with every college, it's different. Every college experience is very similar in ways, but also very different. But also with you, Georgia, it's a kind of like a state school. So, with state schools, like it's sometimes can be very hard to get into depending on if you're out of state or in state.
Mhm.
But because I'm from Pennsylvania, so Penn State's kind of our like state college and here in Pennsylvania. So from like I don't know what it's like at Georgia, but with Penn State, like, there's multiple campuses, like, it's like, with Penn State main campus and at State College, you have to do a lot of things, like clubs or maybe, or kind of on a National Honor Society and different things to actually get accepted to main campus because it's very hard to get into the main campus, at Penn State, but I don't know what like, at other schools, but for those things that you do in high school, like clubs, is so important if you want to kind of get to like a big state school or go to like a school that's trying to get to like Harvard, Yale, or whatever college you want to go into.
Yeah, I definitely don't miss the like college application process at all.
Mm.
Um, so definitely best of luck people who are doing that. And I know that extracurriculars can help out a lot, and it really does vary school by school.
I know, and I'm currently finishing out my junior in high school, so that is something that absolutely dreading the next few months of college applications because I like the biggest part for me is like I know what I want to major in. It's just a matter of
Mhm.
where I want to go to school, and that's kind of something that I know a lot of people are dealing with is like where do I want to school, where I want to major in, or like, just the stress of college application is just like that is something that I'm just like not looking forward to during my senior year and the stress and anxiety with all that application process. Even though it's out for a couple months, I'm just absolutely dreading for it to be over already.
Yeah, totally. I was in a very similar position where I thought I knew what I wanted to major in, but I wasn't sure what school I wanted to go to. So I ended up making like a list of schools that were good for that major
Hmm.
and also looked into schools that were a little bit bigger and had variety because I was pretty sure I wanted to major in entertainment and go and work in television. Um, but I liked the idea of schools that were good at a lot of things and maybe I could change my mind and still be in like a cool place that had good opportunities,
Yeah.
which is what eventually brought me to Georgia, that and a lot of scholarship money. Um, and at UGA, you have to apply to get into the journalism school once you're in the university itself. So I applied, got into the university, finished some of my core requirements, then eventually applied to get into the journalism college. Got in, but COVID had made me really rethink what specifically I wanted to major in, and I ended up switching to something else within the journalism school to advertising. And it worked out really well. Grady has an amazing advertising program, like top 10 in the country. So going to a school that had a lot of opportunities throughout really panned out for me.
Yeah, and I heard Georgia is really good school for really entertainment and journalism in general. I heard that's really a perfect school for it. And especially
Yeah, I love
you
Grady a
were
lot and
born
would
in
definitely recommend
Georgia,
it.
so it's much easier for, like, in-state people.
Yeah, I'm not sure how in-state or out-of-state affects applications. I can't really speak to that, but Georgia does really good at providing scholarship opportunities for in-state students to try to retain talent within the state. So that was a huge impact on my decision to stay in state and go to the University of Georgia.
Awesome. So, of course, as we're talking about mentorship, like how has, mentorship contributed to your personal and professional development during your time at UGA?
Yeah, I'd say the two big ways I've experienced mentorship and been impacted by it in college has been both like formal mentorship, but also informal mentorship. So I was part of like a formal mentor program through WICT, which is Women in Cable Television, their Southeast division. So I applied, got into the program, was like assigned a mentor, and we met like once a month for about the length of a school year. And that was very helpful and something I'll talk about more later. But beyond that, doing clubs like Women in Media, being involved in some of my classes where I got to be really hands-on with my work and get close with my professors, and then also being an ambassador for my college allowed me to get really tight within the Grady community, and I found a lot of mentorship and lessons that way.
Yeah, I know was getting involved on your campus and also doing different mentor programs in or outside your campus can you can learn so much. Now, of course, with getting involved, like being an ambassador for your campus or being a woman in media club or different things, like this helps you get involved in many different things. But I know with mentorship, like with having a mentor, it helps you kind of they just guide you through different things. Because of course you're not going to know everything about what you're going into and things, and to have someone that works in that field that you want to go into and give you guidance, that is something that is so important for different woman to kind of learn more about what to do in a certain situation or how to get involved or how to make connections. Like there's so many ways a mentor can help you with that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my experience, a lot of my sort of like informal mentors in college helped me get jobs, which was really
Mm.
awesome. So I helped create TED Talks for my university. So I'd like guide presenters through that process. And it was part of a course that the university offered. And then because of that and how I did in that class and how I stayed close with like my professors and my classmates, I then was able to work with my professor to do that as like a contract gig. Um, for Johnson and Johnson, which was a really cool opportunity.
No, I'm so jealous. I know with a lot of colleges now, some colleges do TED Ed and some colleges don't. It depends on the school. But I know with TED Ed, it's such a big thing for high school and college students. So learn more about the different topics. I'm currently in the works of doing a TEDx talk. I literally didn't expect to say that, but that's a little announcement for people that don't know. But with getting involved, like doing TEDx talks, I'm not sure if you ever did one, but of course, with getting involved in TED, that is such a big experience for your resume. Because of course, how big TED Ed is, it's such a big opportunity.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it, and it's a great way to just learn a lot on your feet. So I feel like I've learned a lot of like presentation skills, but also by doing that, I've gotten to work with 6 different presenters now, and then I get to learn a little bit about each of their like areas of expertise, which is really cool.
That's really cool. It's really like, of course, with doing TED, and like you literally connect with a bunch of different people that you never get to meet, whether it's speakers, presenters, whatever it is. Like you literally get to meet people that are literally doing amazing things at the same time while you're trying to organize it.
Yeah, this semester I worked with Dr. Hall. She is an astrophysicist, essentially studying exoplanets, which is an area I had no knowledge or expertise in at all when I got started working with her. So it's really cool to see just other things like that that are going on at a big research university like this that I wouldn't get exposure to otherwise within my major.
And of course, with doing a major, of course you're advertising major, and to learn something that is science, like I had no idea what that is either. I had no idea what that is. I'm not a science person, so I had no idea. But to work with someone that's kind of out your expertise is something also big rewarding because of course you're learning something different from what you're used to. Because of course, you have to do a lot of research for that, which is, time consuming. But to work with someone that's outside that career field that you're kind of not used to is like, okay, I never expected to learn this, but I guess I have to do it now.
Yeah, it really helps like grow and change your perspective. I think that's one of the biggest piece of advices I have about college in general is do something outside of your major.
Hmm.
For me, that was doing club sports. I was on the sailing team in college, and I definitely recommend club sports to anybody entering college. It's a great way to like socialize and stay active and do something outside of your academics.
That is something that I'm honestly trying to figure out to do is, of course, it's always going to get involved. But of course, with having that social interaction, that is really one of the biggest things when you go to college is that social scene interaction. And there's also some apps where you can connect with people from this like certain college called Zemi, where you get to meet different people that kind of interested in going or applying to see like, oh, are you going to this college or do you want a roommate? Like there's different apps that can help you with that. But getting involved in club sports is also one of the biggest things, or even clubs in general is such a big thing for a college with a social scene.
Definitely. Clubs were a huge part of my college experience. And I was involved in a lot of clubs oriented around my major, stuff like we talked about, like women in media, TED,
Mm.
being an ambassador. And those were all great experiences. But having that additional club sport that was like fully outside of what I was doing professionally and academically was so nice as like an escape and a social scene to kind of like separate myself from the grind of what I was doing, even though I loved it, but like what I was doing all the time, all the rest of my days. Same thing with I had a minor in a different field. I minored in sociology. I ended up not completing the minor, but I just really loved the coursework. So I audited a course in it my senior year, and it was nice to just like be in a space where you're learning and talking about something outside of your main focus and just broaden your horizons in that way.
I love it. So, of course, with mentorship in college, like, why do you think it is so important to kind of have mentorship programs within colleges and universities?
Yeah, I think having formal mentorship programs are really great at, first of all, teaching the importance of mentorship to students. You're definitely ahead of the curve and like even knowing about mentorship, that was something I had like no real experience with in high school at all until I
Hmm.
got to college. And just having access to that kind of guidance from somebody that's further ahead of you in their career. But also, I think within colleges, again, that informal mentorship is also really important.
Yeah.
So, developing those relationships with your professors, with staff, getting to know like the staff at my college has been really wonderful. And there's some of my favorite people to like say hi to around the building. And I know that like they've got my back. And if I'm like looking for a job or I need an opportunity and they think I'm a good fit, like they'll pass it along. Or if I'm trying to find a mentor or reach out to like an alumni, I can ask a staff member, "Hey, do you know anybody that like works in this area?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you should reach out to like this person who graduated in like this year." Like I'll ask them if they can talk to you and they'll get me connected. So having stuff like that is really great.
Yeah, that's so great that you know the people at like your college is really willing to help you make those connections. Of course, with going to like a bigger college, it's kind of hard to do that one-on-one with your teachers or professors, since it's a big college, usually 100 students a class or so. But like, of course, we're making connections in college. It's really great to ask those questions with people, whether it's a teacher, like a classmate, or just people that work in a cafeteria for crying out loud. Like, it can be anyone. And like with those connections, you can ask them, like, "Hey, do you know anyone that works in, what's to say, a media field or like a journalist or something?" And like, because of course, connections and meeting people can really take you anywhere. You don't know what connections people might have, So it's really great that you were able to take advantage of that opportunity to really connect with different people in terms of mentorship in college, because I really didn't have that sort of thing. Of course, I'm still junior in high school, so I still have time like the next year. But I really didn't really have that mentorship in high school, and I really didn't know like when I was in like like a freshman or sophomore what I want to be. Like it was like I never really was, aware of that. So it's like that's something that I kind of struggle with at the moment. Is like, okay, is this final, or am I going to change my mind a million times again?
I would say there's a decent chance you're going to change your mind, and that's totally okay. Like I switched my major in college. I think a lot of people go through that experience, especially around like sophomore year, particularly. I think what's more important is like going in with an open mind and grabbing like skills. When I was looking at changing my major, one of the best pieces of advice I got was to look at the coursework that every ma the majors I'm considering have and just think about like which classes do you want to be taking? Like how do you want to spend the next couple years? What do you want to be learning rather than just like the title of what the major is?
Hmm.
And that's what ended up influencing me to switch into advertising. And I'm really happy with like the things that I've learned and the skills that I've picked up.
That's so great. Because of course, with advertising, you can really take advertising really anywhere. Because of course,
Yeah,
when you're
absolutely.
when you're a freshman, like that's kind of a time where you're just trying to figure out, like, oh, what do I want to be? Is this major final, or what do I actually be? So I know a lot of people going through their freshman year of college undecided. They take kind of like small classes to kind of figure out, like, okay, what's best, and then usually around sophomore year to kind of figure that thing out. Usually not everyone is like that, but some people are like that. But it really, like, it's okay to switch your major, even if you say you're an advertising major, but you want to go into maybe public relations,
Hmm.
But like switching your major is something. that, you rather do now than wait until you're probably a senior in college and go to college, for an extra like 4 years.
Yeah, definitely switch earlier than later and take time to explore. One thing that really helped me as far as like mentorship and making that decision was at that time I was like a freshman and a sophomore in women in media, and the older girls, the upperclassmen in the club were a huge resource in like helping me make that decision. There
Mhm.
was at least one of them within each major in the journalism college that I could talk to and get a sense of like how has the program been for them? What are the classes actually like? What do they feel like they're learning or going to end up doing after college? And that was like a huge help in making that decision.
Yeah, like of course, but like I know with a lot of upperclassmen, like I'm not talking about everyone, but I know with some upperclassmen, they're not kind of willing, like what they'll say, like, oh, why do you need help? Like, you should know where you want to be. But it's great that you had the like positive experience with people that are actually willing to help you, like seniors or juniors in college are willing to help you with that sort of thing. Because not everyone's like that.
Yeah, I'd say within like the journalism school, everybody's trying to like make something a lot of the time. So most people are like looking for other classmates and like friends to make things with and to do things and like make things happen. So the people around you are going to be like a great resource both in college and after college.
For sure. And to wrap this episode up, like the question I love asking people is like, what does mentorship mean to you personally? Like, what does it mean to you?
That's a toughie kind of. Um,
No, it's a very hard question. I can
I
barely
think
answer it myself.
I think to like put it in one word, mentorship is kind of giving. In
Mm,
a mentorship relationship, you're not just receiving guidance from one person, you're also giving them things that you've learned. It's a two-way street. So
yeah.
as someone who's mentoring somebody else, you're giving them your knowledge and your experience, but they're also giving you their perspective as well. So it's really a shared experience for everybody to grow from.
That is honestly a great way because, of course, when having mentors, like they're teaching you their knowledge and experience. Like, not every person knows everything, but to actually learn something, like from what other people are learning is really great because, of course, learning something new, whether it's in media or maybe what's to say, medical field is something huge because of course you're learning something new every day from a person that works very closely in that field, which is so important.
Yeah, never stop learning.
For sure. You learn something new every day. It's just a matter of taking advantage of the time and energy and taking advantage of really willing to learn something new. It's very important to learn something new every single day. Even from a mentor, reading the news or friends, it's very important to learn something new.
Hmm.
But thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the second episode of this podcast. I'm literally so excited for everyone listening, and this is such an amazing time. Of course, mentorship is so important, and I try as much to provide so much opportunities for people that or maybe do not have access. But thank you so much, Emma, for joining us today. It means the world to us. And thank you for all the wonderful tips that you gave us and taking the time out of your day.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun reflecting on my very recent college experience, having graduated just 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really? 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
But thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and tune in for next Thursday for the newest episode. I'm very excited. But thank you, Emma, again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You have a good one too.
Thank you. Bye.